new food concepts, new taste, new flavors. Again, we could speak 45 minutes easily on this topic of why that's happening, the demographics, each generation has different expectations, different history, different demands, and the global awareness that's embraced diversity and the menus. I can say for sure the way I ate as a child at my home in Boston and how I eat today is completely different in terms of what's in the refrigerator to what I go to restaurants, and it's completely a different world.
The trend is the gourmetization of certain products. The fad is fashion. And we are less interested, I think, as an industry in fads, and our consumers, our guests, are less interested in fads. They're little hiccups in the growth of food service. Mm-hmm. The real messages are the trend towards provenance, to reality, to where your food has come from, to service. So it's not so much about fads. There will be certain things that come along, a cronut, for instance. Yes. A donut mixed with a croissant. What a great idea. Comes and goes, done. But you don't build a restaurant around cronuts, or if you do, you go broke. Simple. But you build restaurants and concepts around enduring, emotional and physical consumption.
My view in the US, but having been brought up and raised in the UK, is pretty simple. If you look back about 40 to 50 years ago, there were in the US, no chain restaurants to speak of. And to be able to deliver a consistent product that a customer would actually enjoy and they felt comfortable going there because they knew it was a very, very new experience for everybody. And that is why in the 60s and 70s, these huge chain restaurants grew up and developed, because you could go coast to coast, and for the first time in your life, you knew exactly what you were going to get. Behind that trend came a huge industrialization of the food business, the supply chain, the mechanics of it all. Here we are 50 years later, and as always, the pendulum always swings the other way. And now you have a younger generation led by the millennials, who react very strongly against that. They don't want consistency. They don't want mechanized food. They don't want production line stuff. They want new, different, exciting brands that are going to represent different things. They want to discover the small restaurant around the corner. They want to go to a restaurant that gives them a totally different experience that they've ever had before. And that's a long-term trend that has actually remarkably important repercussions for the whole of the US food service industry.
Restaurant operations, it is all about continual improvement and continuing development. I think all the operators here will do exactly the same as we do. You are continually reinventing your menu, you're continually upgrading your menu, you're adding new dishes, you're adding new ingredients within the framework of whatever your concept or whatever your brand is. And obviously each one of these new ingredients, these new menu dishes, is a development towards what the customer is looking for, what the customer is asking for, whether that is flavor, whether that is freshness, whether that is provenance and legitimacy. That's just an ongoing fact of doing this restaurant business. It's not you make a menu, basta, finished, leave it and let it die. It's continually ongoing, adjusting for seasonality, but obviously adjusting for what customers are asking for, what they're looking for as they use a restaurant.
I agree. If we would have stick to our original menus, I think all of us, we would have already be bankrupt. It's continuously improving. It's not jumping on every trend. I think that's also a big mistake. Like you just mentioned, like a trend and you jump on and nobody really cares. But I think you need to listen to the guests. You need to listen to the big movements. So for us as a pasta pizza chain, obviously the trend to gluten-free is kind of a real threat out there, because if this really succeeds, nobody would eat pasta and pizza. So for us, it was really a mind shift to introduce more salad, to go into more risotto, and now even to try out gluten-free pizza. Although I think it tastes horrible personally, but I think you need to work on this movement. And also, I think a big thing is localization. We're in 31 countries. And we are very strict with the core dishes. So a carbonara should taste like a carbonara, and a bolognese should taste like a bolognese. But like the other dishes, what are not that core, we really adopt a lot to the local taste. And for us, it's always eye-opening. We just opened in China, and then we did 6 localized dishes, 6 out of 30. And these 6 dishes make 32% of our sales. So you really need to listen to the guests, and also I think you should never make the mistake to try to educate them, tell them what they should eat. I think that's the biggest mistake what a lot of restaurants make. You should listen to them, maybe try to educate them and push them a little bit in a direction, but at the end of the day, we're all here to make them happy, and we should serve them the dishes the way how they like it to be served.
We talk to our franchisees a lot and add on some local dishes both in Vietnam or now in Turkey or even in China now. That's very important to listen to, and also do some small design changes and so on. And I also follow the techniques now with the apps and paying ahead of time and ordering through the app. So there's a lot of things we have to look to in the future. That's going to be very, very important for us, definitely. We also added on just now, O'Leary's, like, for instance, even Margarittaville or even Hard Rock, for instance, we're not, it's burgers, it's a lot of beef and food, quite heavy food, but of course we've done menu changes over the years. And we just started a product, actually a soya-based product called that we actually created a new menu. We did our quesadillas and nachos and fajitas completely vegan, free, and we actually brought a whole new market group to us that didn't really visit O'Leary's, and we got so much good press and especially bloggers and social media about it, and that was a big success to actually adapt this new product and make it right and add it into our menus in a good way, and that's been a big success for us.
For Italians exists a big responsibility. The responsibility is to be able to show to the world that the heritage of the Italian cuisine, which is 1,000 years old, it's really a great heritage of cuisine, but we must be able to take it out from the country. Lots of people say that the best food in the world could be, sorry for the French, could be Italian cuisine, but the incredible thing is that wherever you go, you don't find Italian food. Because the Italian food is not easy to find it out, because the first people that don't work for the respect of that heritage are the Italian professionals. Our work in the Mercato Centrale is to try to save that heritage and be able to go on that history all the time we want. For us, the future is to go back to the past. Imagine that the first trademark for the Parmesan cheese or for the mortadella that most of you know like Bologna is from the 12th century. Has been the first product in the world that has been saved by the trademark. 12th century, imagine. And imagine the history of the culture of Italy that is always strictly connected with the food, that now you speak about risotto and bolognese, and our chefs speak about vol au vent or what else. We should stop that idea, focus on the importance of our heritage, and try to go on working strictly in the real Italian quality, and try to develop those very simple concepts that could be, I think, also for the future, the real heritage for the world.
We've just talked about continuous improvement. All of these operators have sat here and said, we are constantly evolving our product. When are you going to do that? When are you, as developers, going to evolve your food service space so that you can find the right spaces for these guys to operate in? Because the challenge, I always say restaurants in shopping centres are shops that you can't let as shops. And a lot of buildings that we've worked on in the last 10 years have been exactly that. The shops tend to be quite narrow frontages, quite long shops, tall and thin. I'd like you to take one message away from today. I'd like you to start building restaurants that are like me, short and fat, okay? Wide. big frontages. I can see the oven. I can see the cheese being made. I can see the cocktails being thrown. I can see my pasta being cooked from outside the restaurant. And then I want to go in. So the big challenge for me, to you as the audience today, is start giving the same level of constant evolution to your food service spaces that these guys are giving to their product range and service. And then I think we've got a marriage that will work really, really well.